All right, thank you, Janice. And speaking of money, Stewart Welch from the Welch Group joins us on Monday, Tuesday. And I don't know if you knew this, but this is estate planning week. And so if you don't have a will, you should have one. But if you don't, you definitely don't want your assets to end up in probate court, and then your family doesn't get what they should, right?
That's exactly right. But how exciting is it to have estate planning week?
It's pretty well,
like
it's something that's really necessary. But something that you pointed out was if you had your will done, as you said, or estate planning done before 2012, you really need to review it, right?
Yeah, it is, because there were major tax law changes in 2012. So if you had your will done then, those tax law changes could dramatically affect your documents. So we're telling people, stop and think, if you add up all of your assets, including life insurance, what is your estate worth? And then who is it going to? And a lot of times, obviously, it's going to a spouse, but beyond the spouse, who is it going to? A lot of times, children. Is it going outright? Or is it going in a trust? And does it need to be in a trust? So a lot of things you need to consider.
Well, and you need to check those beneficiaries too, right? Because I mean, you may have gotten divorced, there's other life changes, right?
Yeah, I think anything, particularly anything beyond 2012, like have there been any life changes? Has there been a divorce? Has there been a death in the family? Has there been a birth of a child or a grandchild? So you want to look at those things and say, how does that impact my estate plan? Particularly check your beneficiaries. So whether it's your life insurance or your retirement plans or your annuities, who's the beneficiary? And here's the one that trips up a lot of people, is the contingent beneficiary. Because what we'll see is sometimes the beneficiary, say it's a spouse, the spouse dies, and that person forgets to change the beneficiary. Now who's it going to go to at your death? And we see a lot of mistakes and a lot of big problems happen around that.
Help people out if they're trying to find a power of attorney, and what's the best way to go about doing that?
Well, power of attorney, that's basically the document that says if I become incompetent, I'm going to name somebody as the agent to act on my behalf. And what you're going to need to do is get an attorney to draw that for you, particularly if it was done before 2012. So you want to be really careful who that is. That person has a lot of power, and you want somebody who's good with money.
Well, if you have minor children, that's something to factor in too, right?
You definitely, if it's minor children, you're definitely going to want that. You want to make sure that you have a power of attorney that can.
But I mean, in terms of a trust, you know, because a lot of kids, I mean, if they're 12 years old and they're going to be, you get a bunch of money, they're not going to know how to handle it.
Well, and first of all, if they're under the age of majority, they can't receive assets. So if you make them the direct beneficiary, you got a major problem. It's going to go through a court, so you want to make sure you do that. And then there are a lot of elder issues. So a lot of us, you know, have parents that are elderly, and your wills, and particularly dealing with their wills, you can make sure they have a power of attorney, make sure all of their documents are up to date.
The income tax part of this, is it pretty complicated?
It is complicated. You know how we have the Obamacare tax of 3.8%. It has gotten very complicated, and we suggest that you know, that you get an attorney, get an advisor involved, and just take a minute to review your overall estate plan, at least, you know, now, once a year.
Do you recommend that no matter the ceiling level of your assets?
I would say that everybody could benefit from getting professional help at least once every now and then.
All right, Stewart Welch, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mike.
it.